All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack something really powerful, a toolkit that shows how thousands of local community organizations can strategically influence the massive health and care system to create some real change. So, let's dive in. It's a huge question, right? I mean, when you have a sector that's this diverse, this sprawling, how do you possibly channel all of that incredible local knowledge and energy into a single, influential voice? A voice that decision makers can actually hear and, more importantly, partner with.
Well, to see how this works on the ground, we're going to zoom in on a specific region in the UK: Bristol, North Somerset, and South Gloucestershire. Now, this isn't just some theory. It's a living, breathing example of a framework for change, and it's all led by what's known as the BNSSG VCSE Alliance. So here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the system and the sector itself. Then, we'll see how the alliance acts as a strategic bridge. After that, we'll break down its 5 pillars of change. We're going to put a spotlight on how they amplify voices, talk about investing in local solutions, and finally, we'll bring it all home. Seriously, think of this as a blueprint that you can use to tell your own story of impact. Okay, first things first, let's just get a handle on the sheer size and importance of what we're talking about here. The Voluntary Community and Social Enterprise Sector, or VCSE sector for short, is this massive, vibrant network. We're talking over 8,000 organizations and informal groups operating in just this one area. Think about that. That's everything from registered charities to tiny local community groups, all of them working right there on the ground, deeply, deeply connected to the people they serve. So, you've got this vast network on one side and the formal health and care system on the other. How do you connect them? Well, you build a bridge. And that is exactly what the BNSSG VCSE Alliance is designed to be. This whole bridge-building mission really boils down to 3 clear actions. First, to coordinate, the sector to help shape policy. Second, to connect, the NHS and local authorities with a single, clear route into all these communities. And third, to contribute, by actually helping design and deliver better, more joined-up care. So, how does the Alliance actually make this happen? Well, its whole strategy is built on 5 core pillars. These are the 5 key areas of focus that drive everything it does. And here they are: amplifying voices through their ambassadors, a brokerage framework for funding, influencing policy, using data and insight, and driving investment into the sector. You can think of them as interconnected gears. The data provides the hard evidence, the ambassadors use that evidence to influence policy, and then the brokerage framework provides the funding to make those new ideas a reality on the ground. Let's see how this works in practice, starting with that very first pillar. Okay, this is where the toolkit really comes to life. We're going to walk through a real-world case study using a super simple format: challenge, role, and outcome. It's a fantastic, repeatable way to clearly and powerfully show your impact.
So, first up, the challenge. The health system had identified that Black African and Caribbean communities were being disproportionately underserved when it came to things like hypertension treatment and cardiovascular health. There was a clear, urgent need for a whole new approach.
So, what was the Alliance's role in all this? Well, they brought specialist ambassadors, these are leaders from community organizations, directly into the planning meetings of the Integrated Care Board, the part of the NHS that plans local health services. And these ambassadors, they didn't just bring spreadsheets. They brought years of on-the-ground community experience and, so crucially, powerful insights from their own lived experiences. And the outcome of that intervention? A completely new model of care that was co-designed with the community, not just done for them. And this wasn't some report that just sat on a shelf. It was formally presented to the board, who absolutely praised its quality and the collaborative way it was built.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the wider impact. For the communities, their voices directly shaped how services were planned. For the local groups, they got to engage as equal partners at the table. And for the NHS, they gained a brand new, proven model for grounding future decisions in real, lived experience. That is the power of the Ambassador Program in action. Now let's talk about the money, because, strategic influence is one thing, but directing actual investment into these community solutions is what makes them last. And this is where the VCSE brokerage framework comes in. So far, 164 quality-assured community organizations have joined this framework. What it does is act as a single point of access for them to apply for funding, which totally simplifies what can be a really complex and bureaucratic process. And what's so important is that this framework isn't just for the big players. A full 40% of the organizations involved are the small or micro grassroots groups. The ones most deeply embedded in their communities, but who often have the hardest time getting access to funding. And the result? Well, it's tangible. By March 2026, the framework will have channeled over £2 million of investment directly into community-led health and well-being programs. We're talking everything from mental health support for young people to employment coaching for Somali speakers. So as we start to pull all of this together, what we see is this incredible picture of collective power. The Alliance isn't just one organization. It's a network built on the strength of every single one of its members. I mean, just look at the scale of this network. You've got 171 VCSE ambassadors acting as system leaders. They're part of a steering group that represents over 5,000 different organizations. And this is so important. 26% of those ambassadors come from small grassroots groups, making sure that authentic community voice is always, always present. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Here's a quote from a key partner inside the health system. He's the head of patient experience at a local health provider. And he says that without the community perspective that these ambassadors provide, the very validity of the system's own work could be questioned. That is a seriously powerful endorsement. So we end right where we began, with you and the work that you do. This whole explainer, it's not just a story, it's a toolkit. The key takeaway is this. By coordinating our voices, using data to influence, and building pathways for investment, community power becomes system power. Remember, every single organization within this network is a vital part of this story. So the only question left is, how are you going to tell your part of it?